It's kind of funny that the woman I built a business with fired me. My name is Griffin Marsh. From the outside, no one would have seen it coming. We were co-founders of VonLogic with Clarissa Griffin. That sleek tech company was on every short list of growing unicorns, and I was Thea Head the Code and was addicted to coffee. She was the woman in red-bottom heels who lit up boardrooms. Breakfast panels with her charm and background made us a team, or so I thought for 6 years. I woke up while the sun was still shining on her. She took the train from Queens to Manhattan, and worked hard on systems architecture. Back-end designs from a glass box that screamed startup sweat at her. I took deli coffee and town cars, and I didn't mind that the 7 train had 500,000 other dreamers. We all had different jobs. Mine was just dirtier. I worked 70 hours a week the week before. But Monday was different. Start a patch crisis, a vendor logistics problem. By Sunday night, I was exhausted and ready to crash. I told them I was working hard at my desk with a reheated pizza and only 4 hours of sleep. I told myself it was worth it, and the team agreed. Even Rico, our tough CFO, thanked me. It was a rare nod. But on Monday, the train had a signal delay 2 stops from Grand Central. I stared at the red light that kept blinking. The window was fogged up with light, heart-pounding breath. It had only been 5 minutes. I wasn't running because I was minutes late. And when the train finally moved forward, I walked quickly. Yes, but I didn't run because I was proud of the work I had done and the respect I had gained. I was stupidly proud of my at 8:05 a.m. My wife and I buzzed into the VonLogic building. Security let us in. I waved and took the elevator to the 14th floor. The glass doors opened with a soft hiss, and I walked in. It took me a moment to catch my breath while holding my coffee, and then I saw Greta from HR standing by my desk. I was kind of tired too, but she was kind that morning, even though she couldn't Haken, she said in a low voice. Can we talk in the glass office? I blink and say no. She nods her head. I stuck close to her and didn't think about anything else until she slid a white folder across the table and a VonLogic's name shone in gold across the top. And then I saw it. Clarissa's signature was being taken away because of repeated. Greta read softly as I looked at her. She was late and acting unprofessionally. She was always late, and I couldn't take my eyes off the executive attendance rule. Section 12.2b. The coffee I picked up was still warm in my hand. I held the same cup every morning for 6 years. Even during the all-nighters, coding marathons, and nights Clarissa Wasid bring Ty back from the corner spot just so we could talk about APIs in the kitchen, because I was too tired to cook. Table, and Clarissa signed off on this. I asked, and I made sure my voice didn't shake. Greta didn't think twice about it. Her digital signature is already on file, and she didn't show up. She didn't show up to this meeting in person, of course. I opened the folder and saw a list. Legal confirmation of end for the return of property security, Batchet Wastrel, and efficient. I felt like I was being wiped by a spreadsheet. I had never missed a product deadline. I had always been on time. Blizzards missed. Family funerals pitched clients. When Clarissa lost her voice, I remember planning the load-in engine that changed the size of our server overnight. And I remember fixing for 22 hours straight, because at Fortune 500 clients, analytics suite crashed. And I remember staying up late with Greta when her team was busy during, but it all came down to being late over and over again. I didn't fight, yell, or do anything else. They would take legal action. I just stood there with my folder in hand and walked past my own picture frames, sample sketches that were signed, and the coffee mug that Clarissa gave me that said, Chief, Nerd, were all on my desk. I smiled and waved at Rico as I went by. He was looking at me blankly from his office. When I got to the lift, I stopped for a moment. The name of the business was etched into the glass on the wall just once. Her name wasn't ours, so it made sense that I left the building. The city wind was biting through my smiled, not because I was fine or because it didn't hurt, but because deep down I knew it would get the job done. I woke up something that had been sleeping for a long time deep down, because while she had the cameras and inside the corner office, where I kept the code, contracts, and paper record, Va was about to remember who built VonLogic, not the woman in heels, but the guy in the dust. It didn't always work that way. At first, VonLogic was just a bunch of post-it notes. It now looks like glass buildings and stock charts. Our kitchen table served as both our first and second beds in a small 2-bedroom apartment in Queens. We shared a laptop until Clarissa's uncle bought us a second one. It was a mess, but it was also beautiful. Chaos. Clarissa used to sit on the floor cross-legged with her notebook and come up with themes and ideas for herself. I had my headphones on and was writing code in an office while the radiator squeaked, like a broken record. Metronome. We didn't have money for office chairs or mugs with logos on them. Instead, we had dollar pizza, cold coffee, and faith. That was it that day. I remember when she named it VonLogic. I looked up from my screen and saw your last name in logic. She twirled a pencil in her hands and said, It sounds smooth and sharp, like we. Do we know what we're doing? I laughed. Do we? She asked as she kissed my cheek. She said, You do. I sell it. And that was the truth. I built on the bones she gave me, before suits and town cars. Skin and makeup worked well together. Before the champagne galas and media playbooks, our first client was a local charity that needed a tool for making schedules. For helpers, they gave us $400 and pizza. Clarissa didn't blink. Gave the pitch like it was for a Fortune 100 company. I worked for nights to make that back end clean and flexible. That scheduling engine turned into our flagship product, the one that got us noticed. It was modular enough to grow, but back then, it was just me, a borrowed energy. That's what people saw first. Clarissa could charm any room, but behind every smile was a plan or calculation she was making. She knew when to wear heels and when to show understanding. Investors and reporters loved her, and the board worshipped her, even more so after her father, Lawrence Vaughn, quietly entered the picture. The man never coded in his life, but when he walked into a room, everyone stood up straighter. Legacy money. Has that I didn't mind at first because his contacts helped us break into I could never get into rooms with just Python. I still remember the day the Boardmater CEO in broth brought me a bottle of scotch and asked, "Whatever gets us there." Right. I smiled and said, "Congratulations." But in front of the mirror that night, she was toasting herself. I looked at my rough hands and wondered when I had agreed to be in the background. I wasn't trying to be a good person. I just wanted to succeed. I wanted her to grow and succeed because I thought we were one. But slowly and terribly I started to see that change of language. When she did interviews, it wasn't we, it was I. I built a company from scratch. I saw a gap in the market and led the product team to new ideas. At first, I was speechless. It was just PR spin, and I kept making new platforms, features, and partnerships where I had a direct say in every system VonLogic put in place. For the first 4 years, I signed every line of our launch framework, but people quickly forgot who I was when you weren't in front of the camera. Clarissa planned it that way. She never put me down or publicly rejected me. She made sure I wasn't talked about at all in meetings. I became our lead developer at product demos. She brought me to Rico or Greta. She stopped asking me what I thought about hiring choices and changes to the brand because I wasn't a part of it wasn't just talks that decided the direction of the company. I was the one who made them happen. CFO saw it too. He was a quiet, Harvard-educated man who loved spreadsheets, but was also smart. "You okay with this?" he asked me one night, after everyone else had gone home. I shrugged and asked, "With what?" He didn't have to say more. We were already there, surrounded by servers who were softly humming and white bars full of made flowcharts and roadmaps from scratch. And I told them, whatever gets us there. The truth was, I was fading into the shadows of something I had made. My title, CTO, co-founder, sounded powerful, but I was hiding in plain sight. I wasn't much more than a well-paid problem solver. Clarissa looked stunning on stage while I fixed bugs, integration problems at 2 a.m. with red eyes and stale ramen. I was the back end and she was the face. When I asked her to restructure our stock to show that we both had a say in where the company was going, she didn't do it. She smiled and said, "Griffin, you know I'd give you anything, but we investors like consistency, so you need to keep your public face clean." I agreed to keep things the same at the end of exactly 6 minutes. I didn't stop because I loved the work I was doing. I still loved her, or maybe the version of her I started building with the woman, deep down. I loved our team, who drew brand names on the floor while we ate spring rolls and daydreamed. Somewhere along the way, it became a piece of furniture that you don't notice until you trip over it. And by the time HR gave me that box,